RSS is a very popular format. In this movie, I want to show you how to bind your application to an RSS feed. I'm inside Internet Explorer, and I have my blog open. It's blog.wpfwonderland.com. If I go to the end of my URL and I type in the word feed and press enter, I get the RSS feed view of the data, but it's still not the raw XML data that's coming from my server. What I should do to get the raw feed is right-click and then choose View Source. I've already done that, and I've put the file inside our project inside Visual Studio. So let's switch to Visual Studio. Here's the feed file I'm talking about, blogexamplefeed.xml. I'll double-click on it to load it into Visual Studio, and then I'm going to make my font a little bit smaller by using the mouse wheel and the Control key. If I would like to bind part of my UI to this data, I need to figure out how to get down to this XML element. You can see that description is a child of channel, and channel is a child of RSS. There's a mechanism called XPath built into XML that lets me drill into this data using these tags. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm also going to use something called an XML data provider, which comes from WPF. Let me switch to my main UI for 1 minute by double-clicking on mainwindow.xaml, and then click on the Your Blog tab. And then I'll click on this text block that's right here in the UI. Let's see what's happening here on line 82. The text for this text block is going to come from a data source. In WPF, the binding keyword is how we tell the WPF engine to get the data from this title element and put it in here on the text property of the text block. The curly braces are also part of the syntax for WPF and Silverlight. Notice that this text block is bound to the description. Now there's some ... stuff going on here because I'm going to start in my data by looking at the individual items. These are the individual blog posts here. So I'm going to start my XPath by starting here, and then I'm going to go up a level to get to the description. I need to write some code to set up this data binding. So I'm going to switch over to my mainwindow.xaml.cs file, and then I'm going to scroll down till I find the section down here where it says private void window underscore loaded. First, I need to instantiate the XML data provider. I'm doing it outside of the window loaded event so I can use it elsewhere in my code. Then after the move current to first bits of code, I'm going to tell that provider where to find my blog. So here I've typed in my feed location. Next, I'm going to tell the provider where to start looking inside that document using an XPath query. So we start with the root element, RSS, then we go to channel, and then it's item. That's where I want to start looking. I can go up and down from that location in my bindings. And then lastly, I need to tell WPF to create a data context. So I'm going to go to the tab where all my RSS controls live, called tab 4, and I'm going to set the data context equal to my provider. And then what this says is any WPF element that is inside this tab has access to the data coming from this XML data provider. Now I'm going to press F5 to run the application, save my changes, and then I'm going to click on the Your Blog tab, and I was successful. I'm pulling the data from my blog, loading it into this list box. When I click on an item in the list box, it's loading the actual blog article over in this area. And I'm also pulling information about the blog name and the blog description and putting them in these text blocks. I showed you how that was happening in the WPF XAML earlier. There's one more thing I would like to make this application do. I'd like to go to the search feeds, and when you type in a new search, I'd like to go get the RSS from the Bing site and pass that in as the source for this page. It's relatively easy to do. I just need to go up to this area where I'm downloading the string from Bing, and I'm going to say provider.source. I'm going to change from my blog source to the new source. I think that code should do it. Debug, start debugging, or F5. I'll come over here and type in my new search, data binding. Click on the Get RSS button. And then I'm going to click on the Your Blog tab and see if I pulled the data from Bing. So these are the top 10 sites from the RSS feed that have the word data binding in them. There are plenty of details I'm leaving out about data binding in this overview. You'll find more material about binding elsewhere in this course. At this point, our application is nearly complete. We just need to determine how to deploy to the end user's computer.